everyone, welcome to my channel. So for today's case, I'm going to be talking to you about the Deasia Watkins case. So on March the 18th, 2015, the news of a horrific crime had broke out about 20-year-old Deasia Watkins, and it had killed her 3-month-old daughter, Deasia Watkins, by decapitation. The incident occurred at Mount Healthy, Ohio, sending shockwaves throughout the community and the nation. The news of the infants being murdered by their mothers is not new, and it is an unfortunate reality that has been happening for a lot of centuries. However, the case of Deasia Watkins was unique and particularly shocking because of the nature of the crime. Decapitating a 3-month-old baby with a kitchen knife is an act that is almost unimaginable to most people. It became apparent that Watkins had a history of mental illness. She had been diagnosed with postpartum psychosis and a severe mental disorder that affects women after childbirth. Postpartum psychosis affects about 1 in every 1,000 women who give birth and is considered a medical emergency. Postpartum psychosis is characterized by psychotic symptoms such as delusions, hallucinations, and severe mood swings. Women affected by this disorder can be a danger to themselves and also their children. The symptoms of postpartum psychosis usually develops within the first week after giving birth, and the condition requires immediate medical attention. In the case of Deasia Watkins, it was not entirely clear when her symptoms started, but her behaviour leading up to the murder indicated that something was wrong. She had been admitted to a psychiatric hospital twice before the murder and prescribed antipsychotic medications. However, Watkins was not taking her medication at the time of the crime. Watkins had both abused and neglected for the vast majority of her childhood, and was placed in at least 5 different homes, used, quote, no vocabulary, until she was over 4 years of age and exhibited psychological signs of sexual abuse. On the day of the murder, Watkins took her baby into the bathroom and decapitated him with a kitchen knife. She then placed his head in the freezer. Watkins' 2 other children were in the home at the time of the murder and witnessed their brother's death. Watkins pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to years to life in prison. In July of 2016, Deasia Watkins gave birth to a baby girl. Shortly after the birth, Watkins killed her baby by decapitating her. Watkins then placed the baby's head in a kitchen oven. The baby's father, Jalen Scott, has custody of Janaea's sister, hence it is very unclear at this time if he will also take custody of Janaea's daughter. Social workers checked on Deasia Watkins at least 10 times and warned relatives to keep her mother well away in the weeks before Deasia was found decapitated. Social workers became involved on January 25th when Watkins was hospitalized following an incident at her home in which police found her screaming and Deasia crying very loudly. Watkins initially refused to hand Deasia over, and after she did, passed out with her eyes open. She was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis and hospitalized for 3 days. Deasia was placed with her father, James Brown, and Watkins was permitted to move back in with them when she got back out of hospital. She was not, however, allowed to be alone with her infant daughter and was told that she could stay in the home only if she took her medication, and social workers turned to check up on Deasia while in Brown's care. Deasia appeared to be healthy and in good condition. However, on March 6th, Deasia was removed from Brown's care when a judge determined that Watkins had stopped taking her medication and had been seen breastfeeding Deasia. Deasia was then placed in with the aunt. The aunt was warned that the mother should not be alone with the child. Watkins moved out of the aunt's house, though social workers were not aware of this until that morning. When police responded to a 911 call and found Deasia decapitated and stabbed multiple times with a large kitchen knife in the kitchen. Deasia also suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and a fractured right arm. Watkins was found in bed covered in blood. Watkins stabbed Deasia 15 times, cut off her head, and left her tiny body covered in blood on the kitchen counter. Deasia's body was discovered by a 5-year-old child who was dropped off home before school. The aunt was asleep during this attack. A Ohio woman charged with stabbing and decapitating her 3-month-old daughter pleaded guilty to murder and was sentenced Thursday to 15 years to life in prison. Deasia Watkins, 22, pleaded guilty in March 2015 for the death of Deasia Watkins. She told the Hamilton County judge that she loved her daughter very much. Watkins previously had pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity to aggravated murder. She was ordered to have a psychiatric treatment and later found to be competent to stand trial. Court records say that she had been diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, and her attorneys said in the court that she's taken medication for this condition. Messages seeking comment then from Watkins' attorneys were left in their offices Thursday. Police responding to the 911 call on March 16, 2015, found the decapitated infant on the kitchen counter in the home of an aunt who was temporarily caring for the child. The baby had been stabbed several times with a large kitchen knife, which is a chef's knife, said the authorities, and she also had a fractured arm. Watkins had placed the knife in the infant's hand. This is what the police had said, quote, "She later told police that she did so that people would think that the child did it, not her." The county assistant prosecutor David Prem said in the court, according to the Cincinnati Enquirer, County Prosecutor Joe Deasia has said that Watkins appeared to be suffering from, quote, seriously mental issues. When police found her at her aunt's home in bed covered with blood, Watkins was considered to be a threat to her child and had been acting very crazy. And talking about demons, when a juvenile court judge placed the baby in the custody of Hamilton County Job and Family Services, according to the court documents. The social workers later placed the baby in the temporary care of an aunt, who authorities said she was warned to keep the mother away from the child unless the social workers were present. Court document says doctors declared her unsafe around the child unless she took any prescribed medication. The prosecutor's office has said that the Job and Family Services followed court orders, finding a relative to care for the child and checking on her numerous times. But Deasia said that the social workers didn't know the mother apparently had moved into the aunt's home, and this was about a week before the slaying. In 2015, crime will haunt the veteran attorneys who had handled the case. According to Hamilton County Coroner Lakshmi Samako's report, the infant sustained multiple stab wounds to the right side of her face and head, and her head was severed from her body. Quote, when asked how many stab wounds Deasia had sustained, Samako said she lost count. Decapitating her infant daughter, quote, this is one of the most disturbing cases I have ever seen in my life, the prosecutor said. Cincinnati, her lawyers called the crime gruesome and very much horrific. The prosecutors called it an unbelievable act. One of the worst murder cases in tri-state history came to a dramatic close on Thursday when a sobbing Deasia Watkins pleaded guilty in the decapitation death of her baby daughter Deasia. Quote, I love her, regardless of what anybody says, Watkins, now 22, said in the court. The 2015 crime will haunt the veteran attorneys who handled this case. It was very gruesome, very emotional situation, defense attorney Perry Anacona said. Emotional for the family that was here, emotional for her. It was just devastating. This is one of the most grotesque crime scenes I've ever seen in 30 years that I have been an assistant prosecutor, said Dave Prim. It is an unbelievable act. Watkins rejected a plea deal last November. She wanted to go to trial with the insanity plea. However, her attorneys, Ann Connor and Norm Oben, said there were conflicting reports from the doctors on whether she had a mental illness. Quote, there was an enormous amount of evidence that demonstrated the defendant appreciated the wrongfulness of her conduct, Prosecutor Prem said. Both attorneys, though they are hopeful for Watkins' future. She was sentenced to 15 years to life with credit for time served. She will be eligible for parole in 13 years. Okay then, so that is the case of Deasia Watkins. Now, I feel disgusted. I feel like that is the worst way possible anyone can go. Not even a child, doing that to a child. Well, not just one child, there's two children she had done it to. How many times, does the police, the law, the social workers have to say, like, she shouldn't be near any children, full stop. Doing that to two children, that's just disgusting. But saying that, she's not to be around the children unless there's people there. She shouldn't be there, full stop. I don't care what anyone says. She shouldn't be a mother. She should not be near any child at all. Why didn't they just at least put her in like a mental institution or something like that first? Especially when she done it to the first child. Why wasn't she locked up for that? It's just disgusting. I just don't know how parents can do it. I really don't. I just don't know what she was thinking. Yeah, maybe she had a mental illness, but why didn't they keep eye to her, like putting her in a mental institution or more putting her in a hospital to have a lot of observations first and just putting her on tablets? Take them away from the situation, take them from the child and let the child go into yeah, when with family, don't get me wrong, but like they should have made sure that she was not to be near children at all. And I just feel like, being a parent myself, that is absolutely the worst thing anyone can do to anyone's child, let alone their own child. It's just disgraceful, and I really feel so disgusted by this case. But I feel like this case haven't been around as much due to the horrific circumstances, and I feel like these two babies that she had done it to, I feel like they need to get more than justice. I reckon they should have done it a slow death for her. For no human on this planet should have endured anything or even come close to anything them babies had come into. I find it so heartbreaking. I really feel like, the police should have done something sooner. The doctor should have done something sooner. Social workers should have done something even more than what they was doing. I feel really like sick to my stomach. I feel so sorry for them poor babies. And I really hope justice is going to be served. I feel like the only justice that would have been proper for these babies is if they made her go through the same experience them babies went through. Because I tell you what, that is just so fucking wrong. Excuse my language. It is so wrong on many levels. Yeah, maybe she had postpartum depression, but I think it was something else. When she was on about the demons and things like that. Any family, any doctors, anyone like that, like, you heard someone talk about that, or someone thinking about things like that, they should have been sent to like an asylum or a proper hostel or somewhere that they can get proper treatment, not letting them to breed again you know, and then to redo that horrific thing over and over again is just so wrong on so many levels. But my love goes out to them little babies. There's nothing worse than losing children. So that is the case of Deasia Watkins. Until next time all, I see you in the next video. Bye bye.